We're back here in the tackle room for a very special episode as I go through piles of vintage old school lures that were left to me by my father-in-law. I don't know what a lot of this stuff is, so I'm going to need your guys' help. So let's go through it together. Stick around. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And today is sort of an unscripted, not really planned out episode because today's going to be something a little bit different. See, a lot of you know that a year ago my father-in-law passed, and he and I were actually pretty close. We got along really nicely. He was an avid outdoorsman. He was a great hunter, and he was an excellent bass angler. I have a whole pile of stuff here that he left to me because we talked about fishing all the time, different techniques, different things that we like to do, and he would always pass stories down to me about some of the things he used, some of the things that they did way back in the day. I mean, you think Randy Blockett has got some stories about doing things way back in the day. My father-in-law could put him to shame with the things they were doing back in the early 60s and in the late 50s, which is when my father-in-law actually started getting into bass fishing. But my father-in-law left me a whole bunch of fishing items, and it runs the entire gambit. And if you guys saw what he left me, what I have laid out here on this table, it would make your jaw literally hit the floor. I mean, I've got some things like this right here. And this is a Shimano old level wind Calcutta, and it's on a ducket rod. I mean, this thing is gold. This is probably going to be my new topwater rod, my new topwater setup. A Shimano Cydia. I think that's how that's pronounced, Cydica. And I have several of these old Shimano Bantam Corrados that he sent me. And I had a few of these of my own, but I mean, these are mid-90s vintage. But some of this stuff he's given me is easily older than I am. And well, I am well past the half-century mark. I am well past 50. So some of this stuff is a lot older than I am. So I kind of wanted to go through this stuff and bounce it off to you guys because, I'm not retro bassing. And Chris, if you're watching this, I would really love it if you chimed in. And if anybody could go over there and say, hey, look, Lowbrow needs you, Chris. Need you to come over and look at some of this stuff. Because I'd really like to know. Now, I'm not looking for value. Don't get me wrong. Because this stuff will never be sold. This is for family keepsake. And I want to keep it in the family. But some of this stuff is really, really interesting. I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you an example of exactly what I'm talking about. All right. Now, right here. This is a modern day Devil's Horse prop bait. You can buy these at Walmart all day long. They run you about $8 or $9. This is the one that he gave me. It's solid wood. I have no idea how old it is, but let's go ahead and I can hold them up. You can see the difference. This is a lot bigger, but it also feels a lot lighter, and it's obviously made out of balsa. I don't know how old it is. It's obviously not a new bait, and he has several of those. Here's another old wooden Devil's Horse in a really killer kind of a polka dot pattern. Check that out. And, anybody who knows me knows that a prop style bait is one of my favorite types of topwater bait to fish. And, so if anybody's got any ideas about what that could be, how old those could be, it's like this here. This old popper, old poppin' plug as they used to call it. Now, it's plastic. This thing here is plastic. It's not wood, but it is still quite old. And I don't know if it's just some generic knockoff, if it's just some no-name brand, but it's actually quite large. And I've never seen anything like this at all. So, get in the comments below. Start chiming in. Let us know what you know about these baits that I have here, because I really don't know much about them. I do know
that this is an old school jitterbug. This is one of the old ones. Now we've got the new ones now, and I've got plenty of them, but this is an older jitterbug, and I can't tell you exactly how old, but I mean, I couldn't even hazard a guess, but it's probably at least 30 or 40 years old, knowing my father-in-law. I mean, he didn't exactly have the most state-of-the-art stuff. When you think of a top water frog, you're thinking of something like a spro or a scum frog, right, or a KVD. How about this? You ever seen a topwater frog look like that? Look at that thing. I mean, it's no less a topwater frog. It's got the same buoyant belly and everything, and it's got the, the water hole in the back and everything. Even got the same hook design. But I've never seen a frog like that. I don't think I've seen anything like that since, I don't know, maybe I was a kid. But like I said, a lot of this stuff, I have no clue what it is. Now, this right here, this is a Rapala jerk minnow. Everybody knows that. It's one of the oldest forms of jerkbait. But this thing here, it's still got sharp hooks. The bill on it says made in Ireland. And there's a whole bunch of these. And not just this size, but the smaller ones too. There's some smaller ones that have sort of a cup-shaped bill on them. There's a whole box full of these that I've got, and all sorts of different colors. But these things, I mean, take a look at the stain on that bill. You can see how stained and discolored that bill is, the bait in general. This thing has got to be 40 or 50 years old, and I bet it still catches fish. And we all know one of the favorite jerkbaits that I have is my beloved cat turd, my rattling rope. Well, check this guy out. Now the cool thing about this is it is signed by Mark Menendez, right? And as far as I know, this was a limited run back in the day. I'm not really sure. I've heard mid-90s, I've heard late 80s, and I've heard late 90s. So I'm not sure. Get in the comments section. Let me know. Like I said, this is something I have no clue about. Obviously, it's a Smithwick Rattling Rogue. I think this is a suspending rogue, but I don't know really anything about this particular bait. And we could go on and on and on because literally I have boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of this stuff. Let's take a look at some of the other things that he left. Check out these vintage crankbaits, right? And I believe these are Norman crankbaits. Check out the color on that. I'm almost positive these are Norman crankbaits, although I'm not sure. They could be Bagley. They could also be Bagley because I do have a Bagley right here. And I know it's a Bagley because it says Bagley on the bottom. This is a Bagley Diving Killer B2. And I know they don't make these anymore. Check out the bill on that thing. Look at that crazy rounded bill on that and that awesome Fire Tiger color. But I've got a bunch of these old crankbaits like this and like that. Look at that color on those. And I'm thinking these are Norman, but I don't know for sure. But check this out. This old wooden jerk minnow, right? Again, now this I believe is a Bagley. I'm pretty sure that this is a Bagley, but how old is it? When did it come out? What's the history behind this? If anybody knows anything, get in the comments section and let me know because I'm really, really curious. And I'll be honest, vintage lures, I'm a novice. I grew up fishing, and I hate to say I never really paid attention. I had my Meps, and I had my beetle spin. And when I say Meps, I mean any inline spinner, right? When I was a kid, any type of inline spinner, we called it a Meps. And then we had our beetle spins, and that's what I fished. I fished the Fox Chain Lakes. I was a chain rat. I grew up a chain rat fishing Fox Lake. And, maybe sometimes over Cedar Lake. But for the most part, Fox Lake, Petite Lake, those were where I fished. I fished on the Lake Villa side, not on the McHenry side. And that's, ever since I was a little kid. Meps and beetle spins. And then some old angler at a place called Gator's Bait Shop, which was
on Highway 59 going from Fox Lake to Antioch. There was a bait shop, used to be there way back in the day. I doubt it's there anymore, called Gator's Bait Shop. And I used to spend so much time there when I was a kid. And there was an older gentleman in there who taught me what a Texas rig was. And that man, I wish I knew your name, because you changed bass fishing for me forever. You opened up a dimension that I never knew was possible. But moving on, I mean, check that out. How many of you guys are jealous right now? How many of you are jealous? Uncle Josh's pork farms. This is the old one. This is not the new reissue. This is the old ones, you know. And I've got some rattle traps here. You guys know I love a good rattle trap. But check these out. Look at that. Look at that old trap. Look at the color on that. And I've got one here. It's very, very similar, except it feels slightly smaller, and the eye is painted different. Can you see how different that eye is? But they're both clearly Bill Lewis rattle traps. That fin on the back will give it away every single time. And I have one here, if I can find it. Oh yeah. See if I can get it out of here. Check that out. It's a little 1/4 ounce, 3/8 ounce, but look at the bottom of that thing. Look at the bottom of that. Isn't that wild? Now, again, this may not be as old as the others. The hooks on it, unless they've been changed, are still looking pretty new. But that is a crazy looking bait. I know I haven't seen that color before. It's like a rainbow. Get in the comment section if you know anything about that. But we're going to wrap this up, because I can do this literally all day long. I have so much here, so much I could go through. I could spend hours on this one video, but I'm going to wrap it up with the piece de resistance, right? The pizza resistance. And that is this guy right here. It's a jerk minnow of some sort. It's wooden, and it's got a metal bill. That lip is metal, and it doesn't have any writing on it. See the shape on it? You see that shape? It's kind of got a humpback like that. You know, it's wooden. 3 hooks, which obviously are bent and rusted and need to be changed. But that is the most wild thing I've ever seen. I've no idea. I know nothing about this bait. So, again, get in the comment section. Please help me with my ignorance. And I do apologize for my ignorance. Like I said, vintage lure collecting was never really something I focused too much on. It's just something that passed me by until I started watching retro bassing. I didn't even really know that there was a thing for vintage lure collecting. I always just thought, you know, it catches a fish or it doesn't catch a fish. But now I'm being educated that there's much more to that. There's a history involved. There's a heritage involved. That a lot of these things, they really do need to be respected and preserved, and I would really like to do that. So help me track down the information on this. Let's put these pieces of this puzzle together, because my father-in-law, unfortunately, he's not around anymore. I can't ask him. But I really appreciate you guys coming along with me as I sort through some of this stuff, including this Lure Jensen Nip Ditty. And this is, you know, this one here is only about 20, 25 years old, but it looks brand new still. I mean, that's got to tell you something, how that man took care of his stuff. But, like I said, get down in the comments, help me figure some of this stuff out. Maybe we'll be able to work it out together. In the meantime, thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.